Hey friends, my name is Julie Fei-Fan Balzer, and I am a painter, a printmaker, and a collage artist living outside of Boston. And welcome to my studio. So since 2013, I think my memory is going, but since some point, that's either 10 or 11 years, I've been hosting this annual free online stamp carving challenge called Carve December. And the idea of it is pretty simple. The idea is that every day in December, an incredibly busy month where nobody has any time, you carve 31 stamps. That's one stamp a day. Now, I think a lot of people think of stamp carving as something that's really difficult to do, takes a lot of time, you have to have a ton of supplies, like all that other kind of stuff. And the whole point of this challenge was meant to tell people that it's accessible. And over the years, thousands of printmakers from complete novices to super experts have joined in and participated in Carve December. So I thought I would give you a quick rundown of supplies. There are plenty of shopping days left before December 1st if you're looking to buy some stamp carving stuff. And there are plenty of kits that are available too so that you can buy it kind of as a group. But these are the supplies that I like to use. So this is my preferred choice of rubber. This is Speedy Carve from Speedball. It comes in lots of different sizes. I have tried other kinds and I don't like them. They crumble, they break, they're just not my favorite. When it gets down into small pieces, I just put it in a plastic bag to keep that rubber fresh. If I have a lot of little scraps or like stamps that didn't get carved, but I've marked the block, they go again into a plastic box. In general, I really like keeping Speedy Carve in plastic. It works for me really well. I buy these photo boxes and you can see I've used a P-Touch to label the end. And I just have tons and tons and tons of these photo boxes. These, I believe, are 4x6 photo boxes. I have some that I think are 5x7, but they're great. You can buy them cheap, lots of different places, and you can just store your stamps in them by type, by size, however it is that makes sense for your brain. And I just store them upright, which is why the ends are labeled. In terms of like my workspace and everything, I always have a self-healing mat. I used to only use a glass mat, but I've come around to a self-healing mat being okay. I'm going to leave some of these printing supplies for just a moment. I do like to have a clear ruler. Sometimes it's nice to have a ruler that has a metal edge. They do sell metal edge rulers that are clear, but I do like this grid system because it means that I can measure things without actually measuring anything. I just sort of can count the squares on this, which makes it just so much easier. The actual carving tool is a really inexpensive, I think this is about $10, or it used to be, Speedball tool. Now, I happen to have some fun colored handles. They sort of come standard in this kind of red color. And the fun thing, if you listen to this, it's not a maraca, is that all the blades that you need are stored in the back, right? So all of these different size and shape of tips, they just get stored in the back of the tool. You can switch it out as you need, close it up, right? And everything is right here. Now, you may not have noticed my incredible storage container. This is a red Solo cup, really available at most keg parties or at your local supermarket. And it stores everything. The blades are really sharp, so I do just like to put them in the cup, blade down, and that way I don't stab myself, which I have done and is painful. If you want to spend a little more money, these are flex cut tools. They have a fixed tip. It is what it is. I really only use this one flex cut tool, which is why it's the only one in here. You can also keep getting more and more expensive as you want to. I've never felt the need to. A couple marking tools. I have a ballpoint pen. They're great for writing on the surface of the Speedy Carve. I have a just mechanical pencil, any pencil. This is my favorite tool for transferring a design. And then lots of people don't do this, but I personally need to mark my block. It makes it easier for me to see what's happening. And the only markers that I've ever found that are really good at marking on Speedy Carve are permapaque markers. These are dual tip markers. They have a chisel tip on one side and a bullet tip on the other. They're from Sakura of America. You can see I have a range of colors. And that's so that I can mark my block so that I can see what I'm carving much more easily. The last two things in my red Solo cup here are a bone folder, which is really useful again for transferring designs, for just having around. I feel like a bone folder is one of those kind of everything tools if you like to make anything out of paper. Then I have a knife, okay, and I use this for cutting the speedy carve. I don't like using, there's a tiny knife that comes in your set, but it doesn't work for me. So I've always used a box cutter, and it works really, really well for cutting the speedy carve down. It's how I can be a little more economical and buy the big sheets, and as you can see, cut them down as I use them, as opposed to buying, you know, hundreds of little pieces of speedy carve. Then when we get into printing, I do use some clear blocks. My doorbell is very loud. I do use some clear blocks to temporarily mount the stamps. If you want to know how, that is in the Carve December class. And then, or actually, I think that's in the Carve December workbook class. I'll look up which class it's in. It's in one of my online classes, at least one. For printing, there are two kinds of ink pads that I like. This is Archival Ink by Ranger. This is old packaging, probably 10 or 15 years old. That's how long this stamp pad has been around, because I use a re-inker on it to keep it nice and juicy, so it's lasted all this time. And then this is VersaFine Clear Ink, which is a pigment ink. They have different uses, so I will use this when I'm printing on paper. This, however, can print on top of dried acrylic paint and actually dry, whereas this one won't. So when I'm doing more mixed media layering, the Archival ink is my choice, but the pigments are so beautiful and bright in the VersaFine Clear. The other thing is, if you haven't seen my YouTube video where I showed you how to use this super strong magnet, and you put a little magnet on the back, and then you have an easy way to create an inking handle. Hard to get the lid off. There you go. An easy way to create an inking handle for your ink pad so your fingers don't get disgusting. Very useful during Carve December, because I am a messy stamper. And then finally, I'll just mention, so these are some Carve December workbooks of mine. This is how I plan out, right? This is how I plan out and like work out everything that I'm going to be doing. It's where I keep a record of the stamps that I've carved, you know, and every stamp has its own, like, where I've worked things out. And in some places, you know, there are notes that I've taken about it. I have templates in here. This actually has like a book in a book, you know, lots of fun stuff. And this is, again, a class that I teach, and you can see here's the baby size for this year, where I'm just starting to work things out. So most of this book is blank because I haven't quite worked it all out yet, but my book is ready to go. So I'm ready to go. So yeah, that's the basic rundown. And you know, you really can keep everything right at your fingertips. Thanks so much for watching this studio snippet. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, I hope you will leave a comment, give me a thumbs up. You can check out all of the products that I've talked about today. They're linked down in the description of this video. I hope to see you over in my online classroom, where I have tons of stamp carving classes for you to choose from. And I hope you'll give Carve December a try. Even if it's only one day, one stamp, that's a lot better than the number of stamps that you had the one day that you didn't do it, right? So go ahead and give Carve December a try.